And the fascinating thing is that this individual claimed to be God. And his disciples claimed that God proved he was right by raising him from the dead. I have been convinced by investigating into the historical sources about those events that that was actually what happened, that God raised Jesus from dead. So, if that is true, God has actually himself showed up in human history. This was 5 reasons for God: the origin of the universe, the fine-tuning of the universe, man as a personal being, the basis for morality, and Jesus Christ as an unmatched revelation of God in human history. Atheistic philosopher Quentin Smith says, many of the best philosophers today are theists, believe in God. Why? Well, my answer and their answer would be that they would refer to a number of those reasons I've just presented to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I suggest that we continue directly with you, Attila, Szabo. Please.
Damian, thank you very much. Dear friends, dear guests, Professor Gustavsson, thank you for coming. I'm going to talk about this phenomenon that's called the new atheism. And it's as follows. I'm going to say, first of all, some unpleasant things about religious belief over the next hour. And I just want to warn you up front that I know I'm going to offend some people in this room. But let me assure you that's not the point. I'm not being deliberately provocative. I'm simply worried. So I'm going to worry out loud for the next hour or so. Now, imagine that this debate wasn't really a debate whether theism or atheism is the better choice. Imagine that this was a debate about whether a socialist or a neoliberal policy of our country is the better choice. Imagine that we're discussing whether 12-year-old girls should get preventive vaccination against the human papillomavirus or not. Or whether we should stop producing paper books and start manufacturing electronic books and thus give a very good solution to an ecological problem. But do you honestly think it would be appropriate for me or for anyone else to apologize in advance to the audience or the speaker in the opposition so that they wouldn't think that I want to deliberately hurt your feelings? Or because I just want to express my open opinion about some topics. We've all assimilated this notion, this idea that we should respect other people's beliefs. Your neighbor has the right to believe whatever he wants to, or what happens after death. And as soon as you hear this, you must respect these beliefs merely because he believes them. Where else in our discourse do we play by these rules? When was the last time anyone in this room was admonished to respect another person's beliefs about history, or geography, or medicine? We don't respect people's beliefs. We evaluate their reasons for their claims. If my reasons are good enough, I think you will helplessly believe what I believe, because I give my reasons. With evidence, of course. That is what it really means to be a rational human being. Reasons are contagious. If I came on this stage and said that the Holocaust never happened, as was the case a few years ago in Iran, where President Ahmadinejad organized an international Islamic conference about whether the Holocaust really happened or not. They were debating and trying to prove to the world that the Holocaust did not happen. So if I was trying to prove to you that it didn't happen, that this was a huge Jewish Zionistic conspiracy, you wouldn't believe for a second that the things I would be telling you would be true. You wouldn't believe me. You would ask me to give you reasons, evidence. Why do you think so? We don't respect the beliefs of people who think Elvis is still alive, or pilgrimages, people who make pilgrimages to Graceland, the mansion where he died in 1977. These people don't get invited to sit on a board of directors. They don't become presidents of universities. That's all well and good, except when you change the topic to God. Then all bets are off. Then the sky's the limit. You can be certain with zero evidence and respected for it. It's a taboo to push the conversation into criticism of your beliefs. This would all be accomplished if we treated everyone who spoke about God on the floor of the Parliament or the American Senate as though they had just spoken about Zeus or Wotan or Baal or Amon-Ra or Poseidon. We have all these hurricanes, if you remember, and the catastrophes with tsunamis and so on, rising oceans, thousands of dead people. And imagine that some senator gets into his head that we should really be praying to Poseidon because, after all, this is his jurisdiction. Clearly, that would mean the end of this person's career. Yet it's not like someone discovered in the 3rd century that the biblical God exists and that Poseidon doesn't exist. These claims have exactly the same status. Apologizing in advance to speak openly about anything is the underlying problem to begin with. The criticism of religion is the prerequisite of all criticism. Things have changed for a lot of people after the attacks on September 11th, 2001. The way in which people reacted in the following years to that event shaped a movement that the media have dubbed New Atheism. Its first initiators were biologist Richard Dawkins, journalist Christopher Hitchens, neuroscientist Sam Harris, philosopher Dan Dennett, and many, many others. When 9/11 started the wave of analysis, everything else about religion broke out too. You will see that religion isn't a danger only in politics. So, what is New Atheism? How can we define it? Well, it's an emancipatory reaction of scientists, politicians, publicists, and other intellectuals, just like other reactions in our history when certain groups of people felt oppressed. The women's rights movement, the gay rights movement, the anti-racism movement, the anti-war movement, and other movements. Many positive results of such movements and reactions I have just enumerated today are taken as necessary and normal, if we accept the values of human equality. Thus, we have today new norms that correspond to a higher level of equality. Now, please be aware of the many myths about atheists, or the new atheists. Have you seen the poster of today's debate? It says Christianity, a dead end, and Jesus is nailed on a blind alley sign. You could have guessed by now that I didn't make the poster. If you ask me, I wouldn't have designed it so that it would favor only one debater. But if you have seen the poster, you might be deluded, apart from believers who already are convinced, to think that New Atheism is a form of evil attacking only Christianity. Actually, we're criticizing all religions where it is necessary. The moment you criticize religion, people say, you're attacking us, you're militant. No wonder atheists are called militant. It's the same phenomenon when certain people make the cognitive mistake of calling all Scots stingy, all Russians drunk, all Bosnians lazy, all Roma thieves, all Jews conspirators, all inhabitants of Ljubljana arrogant, or all Prekmurians primitive. Well, I come from Prekmuria, and you can see how much primitivism I'm spreading around. Well, yes, of course there are misbehaving atheists, of course there are drunk Scots, of course there are arrogant people, but I must absolutely make it clear that we're criticizing specific ideas and what they do to people. We don't criticize people themselves. Unfortunately, even some agnostics, secularists, and some atheists have fallen for this illusion of militant atheism. Luckily, I left my baseball stick in the car. Well, as new atheists point out, the simplest objection is that religion's metaphysical claims are